Just explain why you felt it's important to come to Israel and what you spoke to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about.
Well, I'm pleased I could come to Israel at this important time. First and foremost, to express my solidarity with the Israeli people after they've suffered an absolutely horrific terrorist attack by Hamas. I've had good, productive conversations with both Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Israeli President Herzog. Among other things, we discussed the importance of this conflict not escalating regionally and the importance of getting humanitarian aid into Gaza to help people who need it. I also had the opportunity to meet families of British nationals who have been taken hostage. We're doing absolutely everything we can to get them home, and from here I'll be travelling to Saudi Arabia to build on the engagement that I've already had with leaders from across the region.
On humanitarian aid, are you concerned about the rising number of civilian casualties in Gaza and the humanitarian crisis there?
We've been consistently clear that it's important that aid goes into Gaza. Earlier this week I announced an increase in the aid that the UK is providing. We're working closely with countries, particularly Egypt, to make sure that that aid can get to those people as quickly as possible. I was very pleased and I welcomed Prime Minister Netanyahu's decision yesterday to provide for access for things like food and water, medical supplies into Gaza. Our job now is to play a role in making sure that that happens as quickly as practically possible.
Would you support an Israeli ground invasion of Gaza if that is what Israel decides to do?
I've been consistently clear that Hamas has perpetrated an absolutely appalling, barbaric act of terror which has taken the lives of so many and caused untold misery and suffering. Israel has every right, given that, to defend itself in line with humanitarian law, make sure that it can try and recover hostages and ensure the security of its people, not just today but for the long term, so that something like this can never happen. But I also know, and President Herzog had said, that Israel will take every precaution to avoid harming civilians. But we have to remember that it is Hamas, the terrorist organisation, that embeds itself in the civilian population, and they should be held accountable for that.
A ground invasion isn't just risking civilian casualties in Gaza, it risks sparking wider conflict around the Middle East. So is defeating Hamas worth it at all costs, even if that means wider regional conflict?
Hamas has perpetrated an absolutely barbaric act of terrorism. I'm sure many people will have seen the videos. They are horrific. They chill you. They certainly have done that to me, and everyone can see that they represent pure evil. And it's right that Israel exercises its right to self-defense. It has not just the right to protect its citizens, the duty to protect its citizens and ensure that something like this can never happen again. It's important that the conflict doesn't escalate regionally. That's why I'm talking to as many people as I can across the region. I've already done that, and I'll be able to see more people in person on this trip. No one wants to see this conflict escalate, and indeed the UK has sent various military assets into the Mediterranean to prevent regional escalation. So some of our surveillance aircraft, for example, are ensuring that arms shipments don't find their way to people like Hezbollah.
The Israeli military yesterday showed what it says is proof that they were not behind the bombing of a hospital in Gaza. The Americans, through President Biden, said that they agreed with that assessment through their own intelligence. What is the British position on it?
I think the first thing to say is all of us who have seen those scenes would have been deeply saddened and shocked by them. We mourn the loss of all innocent life, people from every faith, every nationality who have tragically lost their lives. But I think the situation reminds us all about the importance of not jumping to conclusions in an incredibly sensitive situation. It's important that we take the time to establish the facts of what happened. As I said in Parliament, I met with the chair of the Joint Intelligence Committee. Our own intelligence services are conducting their independent analysis of everything, and it's right that we let them get on with that.
So that analysis is ongoing, and you still don't have a final judgment either way?
As I said, it's important that we take the time to establish the facts. I met with the chair of our Joint Intelligence Committee, and they are in the process of looking at all the evidence, reviewing the facts available.